Welcome to the Tarryn Reeves Show, where your journey to empowerment takes center stage. I'm your host, Tarryn Reeves, a best-selling author and publishing expert. Together, we'll dive into the hearts and minds of visionaries, disruptors, and trailblazing leaders to explore the most compelling and thought-provoking ideas in life, business, and marketing. Let's inspire, impact, and ignite. This is the Tarryn Reeves Show. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Tarryn Reeves Show. Meet Penny Sue. She is a seasoned brand and messaging strategist who empowers online coaches and service providers to stand out, fully expressed just the way I like it, and profitable. Cha-ching! All while working just 4 hours a day. Hell yeah to that. She's got over a decade of experience in branding and marketing, and Penny has mastered the art of crafting compelling brand narratives that resonate. If you haven't checked out her socials, this woman knows how to nail home a message, and I love it. I'm here for it. Welcome, Penny.
Thanks, Taryn. Thanks for the really awesome introduction. And I am so happy to be on your show today and share my knowledge, my insight on brand messaging. And I love that you are such a book person and you are all about simplifying things, make things simple to grow your business. And this is something that is super important in my own business, in the way I do everything in life as well.
I love that. Simplicity is the best. I used to be such a person that valued complexity because it was so hardwired into me that if I wasn't doing or achieving something, then I must be failing or I wasn't doing enough. Do you ever feel that way?
Yes, I think it's also the way that we have been brought up. Everything has a process and everything. There is a certain place for it. But when you go into the entrepreneur world, everything moves so fast. You're servicing clients, changing your marketing and delivering everything moves so fast. And a lot of us actually just want to get things done. And a lot of times we were like, okay, we need this, we need that, we need a ton of other things. And to the end, and it's just a never ending list of things to do. Whereas we
Yeah.
can same as messaging and everything can be so simple, and yet we are conditioned to make things more complicated because we feel that, hey, if we're not working hard enough, if we are not doing more steps, things don't work. But that's not true.
Mm.
This is why all of us decide to do our own thing, because we see a way to make things faster, easier, and simpler. And it goes with, I've listened to your show, and you're always about simplifying things and also about just making the impact.
Yes, making the impact. Now, you work with entrepreneurs specifically for their brand messaging, which obviously has to make an impact in order to stand out in the bazillions of people who are going, I've got the solution to your problem on social media. How do you approach this process with a client to make that impactful message? Do you have certain steps that you take? Where do you start?
So with my clients, so I work with a range of clients. They could be someone who's quite new to business, but they have a lot of corporate background, they have a lot of experience. And to someone, it could be someone who owns a digital agency or speaking agency, to someone who's just a mom who wants to teach other moms how to improve their parenting life. So
Mm.
everyone has a different way and different process, but I try to make things as simple as possible. As in, what is that? I always say that messaging starts from a well designed offer. And
Mm.
I love yours, right? Yours is all about the book, making it simple, making it a simple front door offer for people. It's so simple. Like I see you, your name is, I think of the book as your front end funnel, right? And it's all about that, right? We don't have to make a ton of things. Like often I see people say things like, I do this, I empower women so that they do the. Oh my God, halfway, like it's not even halfway through that sentence. I already forgot what's the beginning of a sentence. So
Yeah.
it's about simplifying things. What is that? So it all goes back to, and I find that with a lot of clients, it's the offer, right? We
Mm.
are all multi-passionate. We are all super talented. So gifted.
Mm.
And this is why we can do so many things. But At the same time, like each offer has to be designed in a certain way to achieve one or two goals, and that's it. And a lot of times, there are all these other elements in our offers that yes, they're great, but we don't have to tell people every boring detail of it. You're like, okay, I'm gonna get you this result, but I don't have to tell you how 27 steps of how to do that.
Yeah. What you get inside there, like you get 200 book sales and 50 reviews, and you get the cover design and the typesetting. People don't care about that. They just want to know what for example, I'm talking about my offer as an example, is what is the book actually going to do for their business? Otherwise, if that's what they want, that's the end result, right? That's the impact.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
that's just the starting point of their messaging. It's like it starts from the offer and then we layer it on because, sure, we all have amazing offers and a lot of times it's quite similar, but it's the magic that we add to it that's ourselves and the person that we're going to help. So each of us will have some people, they're like, you think of them like someone who's, oh, this person's really awesome, but I'm not sure if that person is for me.
Mm,
And we all somehow or rather have our own unique methods and how to translate that method, how to bring that across in all your social media content and all your online presence. And that's because people have zero, like shorter memory than a goldfish these days. So you
oh
need
my
to
God. I don't even think I make goldfish level, honestly.
yeah, I know. We put goldfishes to shame because we're like,
I feel like a goldfish is actually smarter than me at this stage. Like the power of impactful messaging cannot be understated because people are cold DMing and cold outreaching and all these sorts of things. And as soon as I receive some of those messages, I'm like, yeah, nah. Like I just delete them. I don't respond because the people who have done a good job of showing me that they're the people who can solve my problem, I already know about them in my mind because I follow them on social media. And even though I may not be ready to buy now, I know that when I am ready for that thing, that is the person that I'm going to use because of their impactful messaging, not the other millions of wishy washy, I empower this, that, and the next thing. I don't care. I don't want to feel, I don't consciously want to feel empowered, right?
yeah,
I
exactly.
need to be on that conscious level to go, well, what are they actually consciously wanting? Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And also what they consciously and we also have to understand what they want and but they won't say it. There's a lot of times we want a lot of
Mm,
things, but we're like, oh, we want this. But the other things that we want, we're not gonna tell people that we want because some
yeah.
a lot of women carry shame around wanting more money, wanting more things, building an empire. And there's a lot of
Mhm.
reasons why that is happening. And that's why as business, right? As someone who you let's say if you're a healer, you are a therapist, your job, you know that you can help them, but they're not gonna give you that information. And you really need to understand what is it that they need deeply, and that when you share this through your messaging. So even if you do just post maybe a couple of times a week, and you don't have to do a ton, but people will remember that they're like, I need to talk to that person because that
Mm,
person is so different. And this is why, like, it goes back to how we are all doing the same thing in the same environment in online.
yeah.
But each of us have our own secret ways or special ways, secret sauce of doing it
Yes.
and making it so why some people appeal more to us than others. Right? For instance, if we why some people like Taylor Swift and why some people don't like Taylor Swift.
Oh, don't say that. I'm a Swiftie over here.
Yeah, a lot of people like Taylor Swift, right? And this is why there are some people who are like they want to watch every show and they're willing to do anything to get those tickets. And there are some people
Yeah,
who don't care. You know,
yeah.
and
Now
those who
that's a
care, they
brand,
get
right?
yeah. Yes,
What
absolutely.
a way to build a brand. She is epic.
Yeah, and
At
her messaging is so empowering, and she's got all these fans. And to be honest, you're better off offending a lot of other people than offending a Swiftie these days because,
I was at that concert and I have never seen somebody, especially somebody that young, be able to move a huge mass of people like that. There were people crying, proposing, like it was mania. It was manic. And I was just watching this. I was like, wow. Very, very smart lady.
She is absolutely like brilliant. She's a real genius. And this is why she's been around for a while. She's been around since she was like a teenager. So it's definitely not one of those overnight success, but she's also really smart and she's got really good people behind her who help her to that level of
Mm,
success. And whether you like her music or not, that's something else. But you have to agree that she's a really good businesswoman.
very smart businesswoman.
Yeah.
So, how can people build a brand like Taylor's, for example, but obviously within their niche, within their space? Do you believe that it's? I obviously think that it's a combination of messaging, but do you also believe that it comes down to how you present yourself, the way that you speak, the way that you look? Let's use your brand as an example. Like I always know you as the messaging queen, right? With your green hair and graffiti backgrounds, and you're just totally owning your unique individuality. Whereas a lot of other people in the messaging space, they all look pretty similar. All of their branding so nice and just plain and safe, and all of their messaging so plain and safe. And it's, yeah, that's nice, but I don't remember you.
So that is so one, and this has been something that comes quite natural to me. Is always I'm someone who speak my mind quite a lot, and there were times that it didn't help at all. um,
I
and
know that feeling.
but I was like, I can't help it. And if I want to build a business, I want to build it the way I want it. And
Mm,
one thing that I tell clients a lot is that you have to be willing and brave enough to say things that people think about, but they don't say it. So
mm,
this is what how your messaging will stand out because you say certain things. Like I say this the other day, right? If you were to say something, if you're a therapist and you're putting a piece of content and say why, how XYZ is going not helping you is going to help you with your limiting belief. Right? Everyone says that, right? How
mm,
XYZ or five ways to that. But if you're saying things like, why are you still doubting yourself and you
mm.
still are fighting with limiting self-limiting belief, even though you have spent years and thousands of dollars on therapy? So this kind
Mm,
of messaging would be someone like, hello, that's me. You're
yeah.
really calling them out. And there are sometimes
Mm,
like I believe in calling out people, not in a way that shames them. I'm against that. I'm not into that whole the pro marketing where people just instill a lot of pain. There's nothing good about instilling a ton of pain in your
yes.
audience because if you are calling out someone who's if you're asking them you are broke, you're exhausted, you are feeling hopeless. And are those people going to call you? And if they do call you and book a call with you, chances are they're not going to move very far from that one call because even if they
Yeah.
sign up as a client, they're going to be a very difficult client because you
Mm,
get them in the mindset of someone who's pretty desperate
yeah.
versus and I don't think there's appropriate way of marketing because we want to talk to someone. So the type of people that we want to attract, right? If they are probably have a problem, these are the problem that is probably making them like their life would be easier if they didn't have that problem. But then they still have a problem. So they still have a little bit of a pain there, but it's not so bad that they cannot move and they cannot function with that problem. But they want to get it sorted as fast as possible.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So do you think that people are too scared to really step outside that safe little box of what everyone else is doing and actually call people out on those things that they know they need or are, I wouldn't say in pain from, but their problem that they won't voice to anybody else because they feel like they're being too pushy or too salesy or too aggressive?
100%, 100%. If I look at my content from 5 years ago, I'm like, I'm such a people pleaser. And sometimes we want to be the good girl, right? Good girl messaging. Whereas
Yeah.
when you're like, okay, let's not step on toes, let's not remind people why they need me. But then what ends up happening is that your messaging will just, with your messaging, your content, your presence will just goes into the background, melts into the background like everyone else because you're trying so hard to not step on someone's feet. Whereas
Mm,
if you call them out lovingly, right, in an empowering way, like I said, that you are telling them that, hey, you've got this problem. I know that you have this problem, even though you have not said it. and I have a solution for this problem. And this is why I am the perfect person to solve that problem. Versus someone who's, oh, you have that problem. And you talk about it in a very surfacey level. That's when that's not being specific enough that people say, oh, you're really talking to me.
And so then it doesn't have impact,
No,
right?
no, it's
So
okay.
yeah, it's that's nice. I'm going to keep scrolling because when people, especially on social media, they are most of the time just scrolling to waste time. I find so if you're not really nailing them between the eyes and pausing them to stop and think, it's you're just posting content for no reason. Really, it's a waste of time.
Exactly.
So when you do have or you have mastered the art of impactful messaging, it obviously influences a buyer's behavior, right? How can business owners, especially digital business owners, use that to influence their audience to keep buying or refer them to friends and things like that?
So a lot of times where when we hear like sales objections, for instance, when someone say
Mm,
they don't want to buy, sales objections is usually the symptom of a messaging problem, and that boils down to the identity that we are talking to. For example, if you are trying to speak to someone who you're speaking to someone who's a misaligned identity to what you're offering, the type of client that you want to attract, then this is because you are convincing them to buy versus you are speaking, and I call them, when you're convincing someone to buy, you're actually speaking to survivors. It goes back to people who's like, oh, I'm in a lot of pain, I'm too tired, I'm too frustrated, I'm too lost, these kind of
mm,
people, versus that when you are speaking to someone who is I call them a mover, someone who's easily
yeah.
just, okay, I know you're the one who can help me with this, and let's hear it, let's hear about how you can help me. And the type of identity, it all boils down to, so when someone says no to a sale, it boils down to two things. One is they either don't believe in themselves or they don't believe in you. So they
Mm,
don't believe that they can get the results or you can't get it for them. And the second thing is the perceived value of your offer, what you can do for them. For instance, if you, let's say, of your perceived value of your work. So let's say, okay, if you're selling them a book, it's just like, oh, okay, I'm just writing a book. But if you're selling them that book, where that book will bring them, how much time it will save them, right? And this will let them understand that, oh, okay, I'm not just getting help for just writing a book, but that book, what it means for me is it opens
yes.
doors to one, two, three, four, five things, right? To building my
Yes.
empire, getting myself on the biggest TV shows, whatever.
Simplifying marketing,
Yeah.
like accelerating that no like trust factor, the relationships. Oh, I could go on and on.
Yeah.
Favorite thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like the perceived value of your work. And that goes
Mm,
back to how there's a lot of people selling the same thing, but it's about how you position it and how you talk about the value of your work. Versus when you say someone like, okay, I'm gonna help you with your limiting belief. But what happens after I help you with the limiting beliefs? What okay,
yeah.
cool. I believe in myself, I'm confident, yay. And it doesn't just stop there.
It's yeah, that end result that they really crave on that silent level, that inner level.
Yeah.
Also, just want to pull out a sentence that you said there because I feel like I'd want to stick it on my wall or on a shirt, something. You said very clearly that a sales objection is a symptom of a messaging problem, and I couldn't agree more. So, with that theory in mind, it would seem that once you are able to master your impactful messaging and then be brave enough to go out and share that impactful messaging, because those are two things that need to happen in order for you to have impact, right? Then your sales objections will go down and sales will be a hell of a lot more pleasant.
Yeah, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, when we are speaking to misaligned identity, when we have a messaging problem, there's a lot of resistance. Right?
Mm,
There's a lot of resistance. For instance, if you have never talked about your offer or what you do in a way that is very appealing, and there's a way that to put around the value around your offer, people here will
mm,
be like, there will be a lot of resistance. Let's say if you have that, for me, right? I don't have a book. I never talk about writing books. If I go out and put a post out there and say, hey, I'm gonna help you write your book, sure. what I do is not so different, but people would be like, what the hell is going on? There will be resistance. And it's like how you really craft your messaging to reduce all this resistance in your messaging. How do you talk about it so that people, when they hear it, it makes total sense for them? Not only that it makes total sense, but they feel like, okay, you don't need to tell me what I already want.
Yep. And you did this really artfully yesterday, so much so that I'm actually going to read this post to the people because I read it and I was like, oh, I love this woman. It was posted yesterday and it was just this really impactful grab you by the eyeballs. And if this was a thing that I wanted right now, then I'd be like, yeah, hell yes. And the way that you asked for the sale at the end was just so unapologetic because you are so confident in the value that you deliver, right? And that makes all the difference. So the post goes like this. What's worse than copy full of fluff? Fluffy content with OCD. A copy full of variation of the same fluff. I've been guilty and you probably are too. Here's why. We use the rule of three in our copy to help target audience better understand the concept or ideas when it's presented in a group of three. And it works. But it doesn't mean using it multiple times to make a point or be more memorable, aka that you should say the same thing in three ways. Example, this time saving course will help you be more productive and work more efficiently. We're not trying to make fried chicken in three ways here because it makes your copy wordy and boring. So, what should you do if you really want to make your message stick? Be more specific when painting the picture. Instead of saying you're exhausted, burnt out, and going through all the motions, say you're exhausted and barely have the energy to order a meal on DoorDash. See how more sticky the latter sounds? Compelling messaging is the visual details that stim people's minds better than repetition of the same thing. Ready to make your copy sizzle without the repetitive fluff? I have availability to revamp your messaging from fluffy to vivid. We'll craft copy so specific your ideal client will say, this is exactly what I need. 3 months, 6K, we're going to have a great time. See you in my DM. I love the structure of this post. And the reason why is because you're identifying an industry standard, you're giving an example, and then you're taking it even deeper and you're going, you could say this, or you then take that visual of DoorDash and you go, yeah, you know what? I am too freaking tired to pick up my phone and do the scroll, which actually, if you think about it, because this is what your audience is doing now, they're going, if you think about it, it actually doesn't take that much effort. And if I am too exhausted to scroll on my phone and order a meal that I don't have to cook for 3 minutes, something must be seriously wrong, right? It's amazing. I love it so much.
Thank
So
you.
these are some common messaging mistakes that you see business leaders make. What are some other common ones that you see people making and how can we avoid them?
So there's so many. That's one thing
Give me
when
the
I'm
top three.
top three. Okay. One is we speak too far into the future, right? When we talk
Mm,
about helping someone, let's say you tell someone, I'm going to help you make multiple six figures. Sure. Multiple, if someone is like making 5K month, they want that multiple 6K. But right now, their problem is maybe making another 5K or 10K. And that
doubling your income.
doubling income. But when you speak so far into the future, people don't have the imagination. This is how we're wired. We're like, we're looking at our problem. We might, we zoom into the problems, but then we sometimes forget how big the world is. And that a lot of us, we just want to solve this problem before we get to the next one. It goes back to if you want to go out, and you haven't got your makeup and you haven't yet got your clothes. You're not thinking about, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to have a cocktail after, and then goes for another cocktail after that. You're like, I just want to get my
Yeah.
makeup and put my pants on and get out get on time. So you're like, I just want to put my makeup on and so I won't be late and we decide what we're going to do tonight. So it's if you just put in a snapshot for someone to imagine what it's like for someone, you're like, yes, I want to have that cocktail. I want to have that multiple six figures, but I need to solve this first. And when you talk too far into their future, that's why they can't imagine that you can take them there. So you really need to talk about the message, how to solve that problem. Same goes back to when I put that copy out about the tree, like the OCD, we're putting same three of the same things. So this is someone who's like looking at their copy, they're like, oh my God, yes, how can I make this stick? So their problem is like, how do I make this copy stick? But then they have a bigger problem. It's
Yes.
a quick snapshot.
What's that?
The other thing I would also say that a lot of times our people messaging is actually teaching people how to put them on a long sales cycle. What I mean by that is this is I tell my clients a lot of times, like if you want to get more sale, ask for the sale. But the problem is a lot of people like, okay, do this and then get into, book get onto a 5 days challenge. Do book a coffee
Yeah.
chat with me. It's like why are you teaching people to get further away, get stretching out your sales cycle? We want to shorten the sales cycle. The more you talk, the more content that you put out there that asking people to do something for. Yes, we need to have a blend of it, something for free so that they can see your value and then something and ask for the sale. A lot of times people I can look into someone's content, either that they put all the sales and there's nothing of value, then people are not going to buy because they can't see the value. Or they have all the free stuff, but never asking for the sale. And you're teaching people how not to buy from you. That's why some people have to work so hard because they work, they keep asking people to join their call, coffee chats, whatsoever, book a discovery call, right? And then you're teaching people to overthink. And this is all through the content. So these are some of the biggest mistakes. I can go on and on.
Give me one more because I just had the biggest breakthrough aha moment in my head with point number two. Because in my head, I'm going, don't do a 5 day challenge, turn your 5 day challenge into a book. And I was like, this is great content for me just from listening to you. Give me one more. Give the people one more practical tip.
One more practical tip. I would also say that, okay, goes back to teach your people how to buy from you. Also, it goes
Mm,
back to, I say at the beginning of the recording that we say, like, you teach people how to buy from you, and also it all starts with your offer. How do you
mm,
get people through the door, right? You don't get
yeah.
through the door if you're creating multiple barriers for them to work with you, then they will take it forever to buy from you. And that goes down to your offer suite. If you have something that people are just gonna come into your world and they won't be able to buy from you, and you make it super hard for them to buy from you, they will just go and buy from someone else. So
Yeah.
what I always say that it's like you sell how you like to buy. I am someone, so your people will be the same. I am someone I don't want to get on a discovery call. I know
Oh,
I want
I have better things to do with my time, like nothing.
yeah. No, and as I know what I want, and if I want it, I just gonna send a message and say, hey, I want this. How can we make it happen? So it all boils down to your offer about how far you want to stretch that process. So one thing is to eliminate the less resistance you have in your messaging, the less resistance in your offer, shorter your sales cycle, which means that
Mm,
the faster that people come to see you, read maybe a post or two from you, or watch a video of your training, and they're like, okay, how can I buy from you? So the next step, you always teach them the next step. You have to
yeah.
pre-sell them. So when your copy tell them like, hey, join my 5 week challenge. And then after 5 weeks challenge, but book a discovery call, and then we are going to sell you the offer. By that time, your audience already bored and tired. They're like, I don't care anymore.
Yes,
Like,
agree.
just sell me something. And this
Mhm.
is why it's so important that in your process, someone can buy something from you, even if it's like something very small, like a $7 offer. So
Yeah.
you teach them how to buy that, and that's through the combination of your offer and your messaging. That your messaging has to remind them that you've got this. And another thing that I talk a lot about is just be transparent about the pricing. I'm someone
Yeah.
who can make a decision on like big high ticket offers, and I don't want to go through the website and everything just to find out what do you have and what prices are those, and just make it simple for someone to like, hey, I see that you have that and I want it, tell me how can I get it, or even if you can just send them a link.
Yeah. So do you find that once you master impactful messaging, it doesn't matter whether you've got a low ticket item or a high ticket item, that it lands the same? It's the same kind of buyer experience, if you like?
So it depends. Some people might, some people, it depends on their journey. Some people, everyone's different. And I feel that that's totally okay. Some people might have a lot of things going in their lives, and they don't necessarily mean that your messaging is not landing on them. They just need a bit more time. But because they need more time, you don't have to stretch it out.
Yeah.
And then they could be the people who just decide, okay, now I want this. And then next thing I will go for your high ticket. And there could be the other way around. So some people who might actually just come in for your low ticket and then decide, no, actually now I want a high ticket. So
Yeah.
always have something that they are ready for whatever stage in their lives, in their business, that they can just jump in. Okay, cool. This is a really cool offer and I want this. And then, use that to send them to your high ticket or make sure that
Yeah.
they're always in your ecosystem. So they will always land. So, and sometimes people have different things. And there's this misconception that if someone only buys, let's say, something that's $200 from you, they'll never buy something that's, 10,000. That's not true, because sometimes we buy multiple things just because it's fun to buy. We want to make that,
And gratification.
yeah,
Yes.
instant gratification. And you're like, sometimes all you want to do is, okay, I'll just buy this masterclass or book or whatever, or something small, mini course. And I'm like, I like the style of that person. And cool, you get that $300 and you get this $300 sale plus another $5,000 or $10,000. What's not to like about that?
Yeah. And this is what I talk about in my new book, Automatic Authority, is that those low level offers and these book offers on the front end, they're a much lower barrier to entry point for people. Because if you front them with a webinar or a 5-day challenge, it's high friction, right? Because then they know they're going to be pitched to at the end. B, they have to show up on a time frame that isn't theirs. There's usually a limited time replay. And then you have to listen to all this other fluff and stuff that goes on in the back end of a webinar and things like that. Whereas I'm like, no, I just want to know X, Y, and Z. Whereas a book is something, I'm using a book as an example because obviously it's the industry that I know, is that I can take away, it's only cost me $15 or something. I can consume it in my own time. And if that person has done the job that they're meant to do inside that book, I would have got to know them on a much, much deeper level in a space that's very private and my own. And if they've made the right calls to action and used the right strategy within the pages, then it's natural for me to want to ascend into their next level offers. And it's the same with low ticket, right? You can always, it's all about how you strategically create that relationship and allow them that easy access to you, because not everyone has, like, my top package is 80 grand. Not everyone has 80 grand to drop on a book, PR, media, TEDx talk package, right? But
Yeah.
they might have 199 to do the self-paced course. Like, cool. And then they might need some upgrades, things like that. So it is so important to know your people and have that offer suite. Like you said, it starts with the offer.
Exactly. There are people who maybe goes into a Louis Vuitton or Chanel.
Mm,
Yes, they have the budget to spend 10, 20 grand on a bag, but maybe today they don't want to do that, right? Just
yeah.
because they don't want to.
Yep.
And that's totally fine. And some people just like to buy all the small things like the low tickets, and they like to buy multiples of it. And that's totally fine as well. Everyone, you just have to make sure that you are catering for all different types of people with different buying habits, especially now when people are, if we go through different cycles at the beginning, a couple of years ago, maybe people will just spend a lot on high ticket only, but now they might actually go through multiple mid ticket to low ticket and maybe a mix of everything. And it's all about the season. Like some people just like to spend that way, and we make sure that, hey, throughout the year, whatever your taste is, we have that for
Yeah.
you. We have that offer, and just keep that in your ecosystem that, hey, they just buy other things. Maybe they have bought something that's 20, 30, 50,000 from you, but at the moment they like
Yeah.
something small.
Yeah. And it's all about, like you said, that stage and that season of buying, because they may be in that research phase, right? Like where they're just researching their competitors. So they might buy your $30 thing and their $30 thing rather than your $5,000 thing and their $10,000 thing. And then once you've done a good job in that lower ticket, then they go, okay, yeah, this person is definitely for me, or this person is definitely not for me. And either way, hooray, celebrate, because if they've decided that you're not for them, awesome, because that's not the client for you anyway. You only
Yeah.
want those aligned clients who align with your messaging and what you have to offer, right?
Absolutely. Industry has changed so much. I
Yep.
remember a couple of years ago, people were just going from zero and buying something that's, $5,000, right? Like they've never
Yeah.
worked with this person and they went for something that's $5,000, $10,000. But as the coaching industry matures, people are like becoming more selective. They've tasted different type of offers. They have, all these experiences. And sometimes they're like, I'm just gonna spend $300, but the next investment will be $30,000. So it's just a
Mm,
taste of it. And it's the
yeah.
same when sometimes we go and buy certain things. We've never been exposed to that brand. We're like, okay, let's try this out and see how's the experience. Maybe they don't like the experience, or they're like, okay, I like this, but I don't really need it.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I like practical examples, as I'm sure some people listening well. Can you give me an example or share a story about one of your past clients who you helped transform their messaging and the impact that had on their business?
So one of my clients, there's quite a few of them. So I just remember how, since we're talking about how the low ticket offer can actually really transform the business. So I have this client, she has a events agency
Mhm.
and all her packages are like at least $20,000 minimum.
Nice.
And then there was this whole idea that people are not going to buy something that people who invest in low ticket won't buy high ticket, which is totally untrue. So
Hmm.
what we've done is that we created a low ticket offer and really position it like as in something that's easy to buy, easy to more like a little what do you call it, almost push or like a bite-sized offer. And from those, like because a lot of people find it's so hard to take something so small off when they're used to selling 20, 30,000, 50,000 offers. You're like, how can I make something so small? But it's also like they don't know how to position it so that it doesn't compete with the high ticket offer. They feel like, okay, I want
Mm.
to do this, but I don't want to lowball my offers, lowball myself. So we have taken that and really position it in such a way that it's okay, this is step one. And then there was the step two and step three. So people came into her work buying $100, $200 mini offer, like a masterclass. And then they buy two or
Yeah.
three, and they can really see, then they can really understand how her work can help them make so much money. And they went on to sign on to like her full package, which was $35,000. And
Yeah.
this has been such a game changer because she has never tried before. And it was such
Mm.
a hard sell because sometimes when people want, they don't, sometimes they are okay with spending, but sometimes they just want to maybe get one of their staff member to try something out before they sign on for the full package. And it applies for businesses as well as small businesses, whether it's corporate or small businesses like ours.
Yeah. Yep. I love that so much. What a great way to think about it and go, well, you don't have to just box yourself here. Like, how can we lead people who are perhaps a bit more timid towards those higher ticket offerings? And again, it comes down to that offer suite and catering to all, right? Because each time someone buys from you, you're accelerating that relationship a little bit more and you're moving them further along the line of helping them make a decision, serving them to make the decision about whether or not you are their person. So some of them may choose to drop off, and many do. But if you're doing the impactful messaging and the right job of going, I am the person that can do this for you, and is talking to that thing that they may not say out loud, then they're going to find a way to work with you. It's that
Absolutely.
simple.
Absolutely. And usually with really low ticket offers, is the people buying it, they just want to buy it for the information. And of course, a
Yes.
little bit of like a taste of a snapshot of your style of working and if they can imagine working with you on a much higher level. So people
Mhm.
coming in for an offer that's less than $1,000, they just want information versus
Yeah.
someone who wants like 20, $30,000 offer. Those people don't just want information because they have the information. They don't know how to use that information. They're like, they know how to use it, but they want to be able to use that information much faster. They're like, okay, I know step one to 10, but
Yep.
I'm stuck at step two. What do I do on step two? So they
Yep.
need that personalization that you go in and help them and tell them, okay, now this is what we're going to do. So it's very different. So that people pay for high proximity, they pay for personalization. So these are very different offers, and then the messaging are very different again because you're appealing to very different sets of mindsets.
Yeah. So I have learned so many things in this conversation with you, and I'm sure the people listening and watching have as well. But if you could give us one key takeaway about crafting an impactful message or impactful messaging, what would you say?
I would say really go into why when you want to teach your audience why they need you. As in, because we are all so different, but we also want to stand out. So what makes someone want to be work with you is very different from another person. So why do they meet you now? Because
Mm,
once they understand that, then it makes the whole sales process a lot faster because then it justifies for them why they want to reach out to you, why they're making that decision. So you don't have to justify on a sales call, like they already know why they want it. And by the time they
mm.
come to you, they're just like asking, okay, how when they can start, if you have payment plans and all this just the small things rather than you have to justify to them on that call why they need you. Because if you have to put all of that in 1 hour sales call, that's a lot of work. So if you can
Yeah.
do that in your messaging, you are pre-selling them. Pre-sell them
Yeah.
before they even come to you. And when they come to
Oh,
you, they're ready. They're just waiting to spend.
yeah. I love it. And then it's more like just, it's not even a sales call. It's just a clarifying conversation, right? And sometimes
Exactly.
you don't even need one. Sometimes those people will sell in the messages.
Exactly. They're like, a lot of time people will just, I just had a message today. They're like, someone say, hey, I love that training. So can you tell me how can I work with you? So someone already
Yep.
know why they're there, why they're there in
Yeah.
conversation, rather than you have to
Yeah.
remind them, stay on this conversation.
Yeah. Yep. I love that. What a beautiful way and easy way to do business. We were talking at the beginning of this conversation. Let it be simple. Let it be easy. It doesn't have to look like a 12-hour workday with 700 sales calls. And as long as you've got your impactful messaging and your offer, you will win every time.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be super hard. It doesn't have to be, I don't know, like a 5 weeks, 5 days challenge. Like, and I thought,
No 5-day challenges.
no,
Turn
no,
your
just
5-day challenges into books and just let that be that, people.
you teach people to a long as way to work with you, like to actually consume your content. They will take their long
Yeah.
as time to actually come to you and work with you. Don't do that.
Don't do that. I love it. Now, Penny, before we go, we have a tradition on the podcast called the book drop because obviously books are life to me. And for those listening, can you share with us maybe one, if you need to do two, I'm down for that as well, books that have helped you either on a personal level or a business level? What have you got for us?
I am gonna the top of my head. There's so many books, but at the top of my head, I mentioned this book, even though this book has been mentioned so many times. It's the Atomic Habits. So I really like the concept of doing 1% better every day.
Mm,
And I find that this concept is applicable to life and business. If you
so
get
true.
1% better at your messaging a day, we are not asking for you to be 100% better tomorrow. But if you just get 1% better, writing your copy, really understand who you're talking to, and the same principle can apply to life. So, how can you be maybe 1% better with yourself tomorrow? Maybe the way you
Mm,
speak to yourself, or the way that you think, the way that you make decisions, how can you just it's a the compound effects, and I am such a big fan of doing things just 1% better every day, and that is gonna
makes
make
it so
a
much more
huge
manageable.
manageable and simple.
Yes to simplicity. Penny, thank you so much for your valuable insights. I know that people are going to get amazing value from this. And if you're not already following her on socials, I'm popping all of her links in the show notes. So please head on over and hang out with Penny because she's freaking epic. I've been following her for years. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on today's episode. If you love the insights and inspiration, don't let it end here. Hit subscribe to stay connected and turn your visions into reality alongside our community of changemakers. I'm Tarryn Reeves. Thank you for joining me. And remember, your story has power. See you in the next episode.